Hello, my name is Ariel Kasari-Alai, and I'd like to share with you some more of the background information behind the basic meditation. The basic meditation, as you're in the process of discovering, is the first of 4 meditation techniques that I share with you in the 30-day meditation challenge, and it also forms the foundation, the undercurrent of essentially all of the meditation techniques that you'll learn and practice in the 108-day meditation infusion. There are a couple of things that I share in the context of the basic meditation, and to let you know, it primarily arose in me intuitively. Some of the meditation techniques that I teach and share with other people, including yourself, are learned by me from other traditions that I've sought out or encountered over the years. But many of the meditation techniques that I share actually come to me intuitively, and this is essentially the case with basic meditation. Years ago, when I was actively touring internationally with dance companies, I was touring with a company called the Anna Wyman Dance Theatre based in Vancouver, Canada. And a couple of my young colleagues were fresh out of the National Ballet School, and they had recently been exposed to something called Alexander Technique. They shared a teeny bit of it with me, enough for me to get the essence of something that I found very, very important for my life from there on in. It's about how energy is the essence of all animation in the body. And so as a dancer, I was taught to train in very in-depth, intense ways my skeletal and muscular system in order to move with grace and artistry and precision in a vocabulary of movement, initially as a classical dancer, and then in a much wider vocabulary of movement that is really limitless as a contemporary dancer. And essentially what I was trained was how to move the body with the mind, but to focus on the body as a musculature, a muscular system surrounded by the skeletal system. And that's very laborious, it's very taxing, and expends an enormous amount of energy in order to move the body in such a way. What I learned from my brief exposure to Alexander Technique is how to be aware more of the energy that runs through our system, through our body, rather than moving and locomoting ourselves through physical muscular tension. And this is essentially what led to the technique of dropping the pelvis, and then noticing how naturally the breath drops deeper into the belly, and noticing how the legs are naturally dangling from the hip sockets, as are the arms naturally dangling from the shoulder sockets, all as a result of dropping the pelvis downward, and then floating the skull up like a helium balloon, and effortlessly elongating the spine, decompressing the spine, and creating an effortless expansion in the entire experience of being in the body. How quickly did I, in describing that, shift my state to a profound state of relaxation and expansion, 30 seconds or less. What I'm doing in that and teaching you to do through this element of the basic meditation is to use metaphors and intentions. So we're actually directing the shift of state in our body through an idea. Drop the pelvis down. I'm not actually picking it up and dropping it. It's my intention. It's the idea. It's the application of an idea. Let my pelvis fall. That initiates the dropping into my body much more deeply of my breath from the potentially held tight breath up in the upper chest, dropping it down just by dropping my pelvis. It's like the pelvis and the breath are so unified that as I drop the pelvis down, the breath comes with it. And you may or may not know that the power center is called the hara in Sanskrit and the tantien in the Tai Chi lineage. The hara and the tantien, the power center, is actually in your belly. It's also where the reservoir of deep intuition is accessed, and it's where we tap into a deep richness of emotional vitality. And so as we let the breath drop into the belly, we're actually tapping into our power. If we keep the breath higher up in the torso, we're eliminating or restricting ourselves from tapping into our greatest resourcefulness and inner power, authentic power. So this idea of dropping the pelvis down is just an idea. I implement an idea, drop my pelvis down, draws the breath deeper into the body, which is so profound in its implications, and it naturally allows my legs to realize without my thinking that there's no work for them to do. When the pelvis is dropping down in a seated position particularly, it's stabilizing my torso, it's stabilizing my skeletal system, So there's no work for the legs to do. They can completely begin to relax, which is a profound release. It's like letting the legs go into a holiday state. And the arms are cousins, shall we say, to the legs, and they mirror. They realize, hey, the legs are dangling from the hip sockets. Well, I can release in that profound way too. So essentially, within a couple of seconds, we have drained enormous volumes of tension out of our body, and we're starting to train it from what I call the operating system of anxiety to the operating system of relaxation. So the underlying modality of operating in our system becomes relaxation. Not laziness, not lethargy, relaxation. And so thus our thoughts arise from a foundation of relaxation. Our interactions arise from a foundation of relaxation. Our feelings and emotions arise out of that profound state of relaxation. Our movements arise out of relaxation. We thus tap into more energy. Tension restricts energy. It constricts. Relaxation expands, allows us to tap into a greater resource field very naturally.